Good morning, everyone. I'm Jamie Philbrook with I Am Rogue. Welcome to the press conference for Paranoia. I want to introduce the cast from left to right. We have our director, Robert Luketic, Amber Heard, Harrison Ford, Liam Hemsworth, and Lucas Till. We'll let you guys get your mics up here.
Hello. Morning, everyone. How you doing?
Good morning.
And we'll go ahead and take the first question. Debbie over here. We have mics here, and the mics will be coming around.
Hi, guys. First of all, an incredible film, great adaptation. And Harrison, you are at the top of your game. This is a side of you we haven't seen, and it's absolutely delightful. So much of this film, it's all premised on connection, disconnection, technology, old school, privacy. A big part of that is shooting this film in Philly at the Arbor Hill estate. How much, for you, Harrison, did working in that environment of a stone fortress help inform your performance? Similarly, Liam, filming down in Philadelphia on cobblestone streets where the very heart of freedoms started, and this film is so much about those freedoms being taken away and individuality and prying and surveillance. How much did each of those impact you? And also, did you get to go into the 4,000 bottle wine room in Arbor Hill?
I didn't even know about that.
I didn't know about that wine room.
Wine Hill.
It's iconic in Philly. We wouldn't be.
That's one of the few rooms we didn't know about.
With good cause.
Harrison's mic's off. Is it working?
Sorry, I think they do that on purpose.
We can share it.
You know, I didn't work where the place you're talking about. It was very impressive on screen, but I did also have a very impressive home that Robert found for me, which I think informed my characterization. The places where you see the character, his office and his home, I think are very important. So I cared a lot about that. But the character that I played was really created to help tell the story that we were telling, and the shades of his nature that and how they were presented was part of the drama of the film, and it was a great opportunity for me. I really enjoyed being in the film, working with Robert and with Liam. It was a very good experience for me.
Yeah, sorry.
And what about for you, Liam, with shooting in Center City?
In Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Philadelphia was great. It was. I'd never been there before, and it was. It's really interesting because it's like a smaller New York, but it's not as busy and it's easier to shoot a film in. But we had a great time there. It was, just a good city. But I think what's good about this film is you get an insight into this day and age and how hard it is to keep things private. I mean, from your personal life to the internet these days, and how much information is able to be stolen so easily and so quickly. And that's what this film kind of gives you an insight into.
Great. Zumi over here.
Hi. My question is for Amber and Liam. Amber, your character keeps saying like relationship qualities. It's for yourself. What kind of what do you think about relationship qualities is? And her character is so strong. So are you yourself? It's really strong, kind of so focused. The things.
Well, I think part of why I like this character, Emma, is that she's her own woman. She's independent. She has a life outside of the relationship that she ends up being a part of. And I tend to like that in characters, a strength and independence, a quality that sets them apart from their male counterparts, which is not the easiest thing to do in this business. But when you can find a strong character and a director that does want to protect the integrity of all characters, female and male, then you have a good deal. That's what I found in this one.
Amber's character in the film is extremely intelligent and a little scary, and I would say she's pretty close to that in real life.
Yeah.
I think
She was
from
reading
from
books, I couldn't even like
she
pronounce the titles.
she would come to set and she would be reading some interesting, I think I said, book, but I'd have conversations with Amber where she would just say things that I didn't understand, and she would constantly make me feel just
The fashion magazines that I put in fashion.
yeah,
Right.
it was all the front, but yeah, she's intelligent in real life. I'd say almost as intelligent as the character, just about.
Michael?
As my colleague said earlier, so much of the movie is about being connected in today's modern world. I was wondering if each of you would be willing to share and characterize your own relationship with technology.
Yeah, it's a terrifying one. I was in Las Vegas yesterday and I lost my iPhone and I didn't have a passcode on it. And yeah, this is a whole thing that's going on right now. It's all right, you guys are all protected.
Oh no.
I mean, honestly, I've been an early adopter of technology since I was, since I was a kid, and it's always been part of my life, and it's always been there, and this movie really sort of spoke to me, and something that I've been thinking about, like sort of since Twitter and since Facebook and since all these, all this sort of data gathering and data farming. When I read the script, it was like, oh my God, this is so timely. We didn't realize how timely it was, given what's happening with Snowden and all this sort of information. I realize now how powerful it is, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think we've caught up with regards to mechanisms to protect information at the same rate as our ability to kind of gather that information. We haven't caught up with the, a way to protect it and harbor it nearly as quickly as we've learned to gather it, and I think that's interesting, and it could not be more relevant in what's going on today with Snowden and Assange and the whole idea of personal privacy and liberty, and how that conflicts or can conflict with a more omnipotent system of gathering, and what that says about individual liberties and how it's confronted with protections.
There's no liberties anymore, because everything we've ever written in an email is now in a database.
But
Which
that's
was just uncovered this morning if you read this morning's news.
That's exactly.
It's horrifying.
That's exactly what's so scary about it, is that it's our personal liberties are always going to be in somewhat conflict with our necessity to be protected, and those two can kind of serve as enemies to one another, as we see right now with what's going on with Snowden, and it's an interesting question. It's really relevant right now, I guess.
One of the things the film talks about, which I think is, to me, the most interesting, because I'd always presumed there was no such thing as privacy, is that if you offer people something or create a perceived need or value in a service that you offer, people will forget about, or they will want that newest wrinkle in technology, and will give up freedoms and personal privacy in order to have it. And that's the nature of marketing for this kind of device or devices.
What I think is interesting too is one of the biggest threats these days is cyber warfare and how dangerous that is. And they talk about terrorist groups now hacking into power plants and all these things that are now run by computers, and everything's connected. We're all so connected by this whole, the internet and all this stuff, and all of a sudden, we don't have these things in place to protect it. We've advanced our technology so quickly that we haven't thought about, all the other repercussions with it.
Lucas, technology?
Probably better if I don't speak. No.
Okay, okay. Angela in the front row.
For those of you that got a chance to work with Gary Oldman, I just wanted to know what it was like to work with him, and especially Harrison, your kind of face-off with him was pretty extraordinary. I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about that.
Well, I worked with him, I guess it was about 20 years ago in Air Force One, and I was very, when I knew that he was attached to this film, it was a big part of the draw. I had enjoyed very much working with him in Air Force One, and I was looking forward to the opportunity to work with him again. He's fun. You never know what he's going to do, and what he's going to look like, who he's going to be, and
It's intense.
and I enjoyed it. We had a good time, I think.
Yeah,
didn't
that was
It
amazing.
was, yeah, it was
Best time of my
great
life.
to sit there and watch Harrison and Gary, go head to head, and particularly in one of those last few scenes. We were in the room together, and in the scene my character watches, and in real life I watched, and it was very exciting.
Well,
You
the
don't know what
European
either of
team.
them are going to do, and it
Normally
was,
the crew are all, when these guys got together in that face-off scene, there was literally this tension in the air. It was very, very palpable. It was fantastic. Highlight of my career.
so far.
Jared?
Yeah. I'm much older than you, Harris.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Ford, you used the line a couple times in the film, competition breeds innovation. I'm wondering for you how that has maybe applied to your own work, to your career, and for Liam, I think decidedly a very adult, different role for you. I'm wondering, just for you, the character, what you loved about getting to, dig your toes into this guy.
Why don't you go first?
Okay. Yeah, this is a completely different film to anything I've done before, and I think what I initially related to was this kid has something that everyone can relate to. He's trying to climb the ladder, and he's starting at the bottom, and he's been at the bottom for a while, and he's kind of fed up with being there, and he's kind of at a point where he's got big ideas and big hopes, and they don't get him anywhere really, and all of a sudden he's caught in a position where he's being told to do something that he wouldn't normally do, and then he starts going down this road and starts buying into, I think, the whole life and the power, and he gets a taste for it, and I like that he had something that everyone can relate to. From the beginning, he wants to climb the ladder, he wants to be successful. And, he kind of gets pushed down a road that wouldn't normally go down, but, finds himself in a pretty dangerous position. But I've always liked thrillers like this. It's I don't know, I try to find characters that I think are going to challenge me, and this was definitely one of those, yeah.
The characters' perceptions about competition, creating innovation, are, I think, appropriate to the story that we're telling and the world that he lives in. But you asked me something about acting.
Feel like that phrase has how it is applied to your own career. If you ever felt you had to
Doesn't
step up
apply.
your game to-
Doesn't apply. No, acting's not about competing. Acting's about cooperating. Acting's about collaboration. It's about your utility, your usefulness, your
forget all
capacity
about
to add to the work that has already been done and will be done, and you're just part of a team. So I never feel competitive about acting.
I get competitive on opening weekend, but that's about it. The rest of the times, not so much.
think we had a question in the second row.
Hi, good morning. This is a question hopefully everybody can answer. I would like to pick up on a sentence you say pretty much in the beginning where I think Liam's character says it. It used to be that when you worked hard, you became successful. And it rang a bell with me because this isn't so in real life anymore either. So how do you, each of you, see the future generations of young kids coming up wanting to be successful? Can we only, survive and become successful by cutthroat, by being nasty? I mean, how has the value of hard work changed?
I think for me, there very much is a generation that, as we say in the opening movie, was promised a lot of things. If you went to college, you're going to get a great job. And as we've seen with the economic downturn and the greed of certain sectors of the corporate world, it's not so. So we have sort of this, they called lost generation. You can call it whatever you want, but there is a youth, there is a movement, I think, that wants to very much offer hope and promise. And I think the moral in our movie is not to go to the dark side, because it's ultimately going to, that sort of cutthroat ruthlessness is ultimately not going to service you on a spiritual level, and it ultimately is why don't do what this don't do what those have done before you, in a way. What was the sort of moral tale in it for Adam's character, for me, anyway.
I think in the end, Adam realizes that, he has to, he's got to get out with his wit and with his, his intelligence, but also he has to do the right thing, and regardless of the consequences. So I think, I don't know, I mean, you would like to hope that when you work hard at something, you get somewhere. I guess it's not always the case, but I think sticking to good morals and good values would be the key to it. Yeah.
Lucas, I'm going to try to get you to speak again. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, hard work always wins. But,
hard work always wins.
Yeah, in the end. But, I kind of like to throw a reference about the movie, but I haven't actually seen it, so at a loss. But yeah, I think.
Because you're so busy.
What was that?
Because you're busy.
Yeah, that's why. And yeah, I'll reiterate that. Hard work always wins. Say something funny, Lucas. Say something funny.
How was X-Men? You just finished shooting X-Men, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, man.
Segue, bro. Yeah, so that was great. Next question.
Do we have a question? First row here, did you have a question?
My question is, I got impression of this movie that it's more about ambitious versus moral compass, rather than privacy or no privacy. People love privacy. I mean, people love to be known. Privacy is not an issue nowadays. But I wonder how that works. Can you elaborate a little bit, Robert, mostly you and maybe actors? Ambitious versus moral compass. In America, we all know that ambitious is more important than moral compass. And most movies keep trying to give us different answer. But news telling us otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I believe that, and I approach my work and in what I do as a good person. I like people that are good, that have good intentions. I believe you can be successful without having to sacrifice that position, and that's the sort of character that I was attracted to in this piece. He does make he makes moral decisions. In fact, he betrays who he is. Essentially, gives up everything that has anchored him in the world, has supported him in the world. He gives that up for this sort of, this fantasy, this illusion of what life on the other side of the river would be like. We're always, I think it's I found it it was an interesting dichotomy between all those things, and so it's a complex question. So.
Anybody else have thoughts on that, especially young actors? You are ambitious people, probably.
I don't think that ambition and morality are mutually exclusive. And I think it would be pedantic to assume that we had to choose between them, even in movies.
Yeah.
We're compelled to characters that have to face such decisions.
And make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
And are not black and white.
I
not
think
perfect.
you have to struggle for everything, including your characters. They have to struggle as well, and I think that's what compels us to them. I don't think that ambition and morality need to be mutually exclusive, or are.
Yeah, I don't trust the press, like what you were talking about when they're saying those. Yeah, next question. Not me, you guys. Your entertainment press is different. I trust you guys.
I think we had a question in the front row.
I like the fact that all the characters were really strong. That's really important to me when you see a good thriller like this. Amber, your character is just that strong female, is just determined, hard-going, and just driven, and I really like that. What did you like about your character? And Mr. Ford, I love the fact that you're on that borderline. You're staying close to that technology, but at the same time, you need that younger inspiration to keep your business going, and talk about why you like that. Opposite Gary Oldman, obviously.
Well, I was drawn to Emma because she's independent. She desires a future for herself that she and only she is responsible for. I love that she's trying to prove herself in a world that's not necessarily set up to accept her or accept her easily. She's going, into a field that is still very much a male-dominated world, and she's doing so and relying on nothing but her own strength, her own wit, her own ability to succeed. Nothing else. She's not copping out in any way. And I liked that about her. Strength and independence are always something I'm drawn to in all my characters, no matter how different they are from one another. Strength and a sense of independence, and both in their character and in their position in the movie. Those are pretty much the standard things that I look for. So I was drawn to Emma for that reason. Plus, she was in I felt with Robert. Robert has a long history of directing women that stand on their own 2 feet. No matter what their individual characters are, they're all women that are not determined by how the male characters around them perceive them. He has a history of protecting his women, so I felt like I was in good hands.
I think part of that question was for me, wasn't it? For me, a character is made up out of those things that help tell the story, and my own experience, which helps me string it all together. This is a character who's preceded in his appearance on screen by a body of opinion about him, who he is, what he is, how he's behaved in the past. So I wanted my first appearance on screen to complicate that. And but Robert was wonderfully collaborative about things like that. When I showed up with a shaved head, he was okay with that.
Kind of loved it.
When I said I wanted to wear blue jeans and a T-shirt to my fancy house backyard party, he was okay with that. And those are the kinds of things which I use to help describe and complicate a character. The guy's bad to the bone, but there's no fun in seeing that presented that way. So I thought there were interesting opportunities in the construction of the script and the sophistication of the filmmakers that would allow me to create a character different to what I've played before.
Yeah, it was interesting. Harrison did not, specifically in that scene where he's first introduced, there would be, traditionally there'd be some powerful shot of him walking into the room, and it was just a very casual, he comes up to Adam, just shakes his hand and sits down. This is this person we've been hearing about. So in a way, I thought that was really fascinating and interesting and really great, and that came from Harrison. So, yeah, I like that.
You weren't even wearing shoes, were you?
In the backyard?
Yeah.
No.
Barefoot.
He's too
Did he
rich.
have shoes on?
No, I don't think so.
No, you were
I don't
barefoot.
remember.
Yeah, bare feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheila?
Robert, I'm back here, sorry. I just wondered if you could comment on how the final film compared to what you'd originally envisioned.
Well, I've said this before, whenever I'm asked about this. For me, movie making, especially in this day and age, it's for me, and on, and on the budget level we worked on, it's a process of compromise for me. What is up here is expensive to put out. So, I always look at my movies and I feel, that's where I see where the compromise is in a very magnified way. Remember, I've watched it 1,000 times before I've sat here in front of you. And so, I read the book. I actually got the screenplay first, but then I read the book. And so in terms of the adaptation to screen process, it was, the book was written in a time when, we weren't in the socioeconomic quandary that we're in. There wasn't a lot of these issues, and the technology was not quite what it became, the monster that it became. So it was written in a different time. So part of the adaptation was about updating that. And I think we did a really good job in that regards. But just in terms of the scale of what I wanted and to be able to shoot in New York City and do all that kind of stuff, that's always a filmmaker's pain, and that's just part of life. You can't. I'm not one of those directors that gets unlimited, resources to make things with. So, but given what we had, I'm so proud of what this cast did, and they're extraordinary. That's what makes the movie.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we're going to take the last question in the front row.
Yes, Mr. Ford, Liam, and Lucas, what I'm impressed about your characters is you guys, played with mobiles or electronic computers, and your character built radios, if I remember correctly. Now, did you grow up, a tech or electronic nerds, or did you build anything when you were a kid or younger, or do you hang out with people who do that? You draw inspiration from for this role? Do you read tech magazine, anything at all? Can you speak about that, the three of you?
When I found out that I was going to do this film, my character has a scene where he takes apart a number of phones and does numerous things to them. So I got some old phones and I took them apart, and it's about all I did.
And just left them like
I took them apart and I couldn't even put them back together. So I wouldn't say that I was as smart as Adam.
Yeah.
In that way.
I grew up in the Stone Age, and
But you fly sophisticated jet aircraft, Harrison.
but that's the one area in which I have developed some capacity because it's something I want to do. But I don't want to be a slave to electronic devices. I don't want to be connected to my friends. I don't want
in that way.
I don't want to send snapshots of my dog and cute pictures of my family life to my friends and family. I don't want to be liked by
or poked
by pushing a button.
Yeah.
So I use all of this technology to basically replace devices that I had in the past, which worked just fine.
Like smoke signals.
Yeah, well.
Like payphones.
Yeah. I don't really use it for merit. I like books. I don't like to read things on the internet. Anyway, I don't have much of a connection to it.
Yeah, do you remember those AM radio kits that you would get as a kid that you could build your own AM radio? Well, I never actually built one, but I did get them for like a gift for like 3 Christmases in a row, and I hate it. It's just like guitar, anything, it just takes too long. I've always really had a grasp of technology, but it takes too much time for me to spend as much time as I think Kevin does in the movie, tweaking things and whatever. But yeah, I think me and Kevin definitely want to get laid just as bad at the same time. But as far as that's concerned, I don't think I share that much with the character.
Well, on that note, that's all the time we have. Remember, Paranoia, the fun, smart thriller, opens nationwide August 16th. Please thank our cast and filmmaker for coming today.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Oh. You all right, buddy?
Uh-oh. Yeah! It's a hell of a way to end this. Yeah, I'm doing good. It was on the edge.
I'm not surprised.
I thought your fire was a good one. That was real live, bro.
I did help my dad open a bit of a few cars.